Hey everyone, welcome back. Last month, I made over $16,500 in passive income after expenses, meaning money that didn't come in through some kind of paycheck. And the way I did this was, I got lucky. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like the video, make sure to leave a like, and if you want to see it, I'm just kidding. The truth is, I did earn this income in some way by getting lucky, but there's a little bit more to it than that, so I'm going to start diving into the details. Now, all of this money came from 6 different streams of income. Really, there's only 2 different streams of income because 4 of those streams are related to stocks and 2 of them are related to real estate. But for the sake of YouTube, I'm just going to break that out into 6 different streams of income. With that said, let's start getting into my sources of income. The first source of my income is rental income through renting out the various rooms in my apartment. Normally, I bring in $2,140 a month in rental income. This past month, however, I haven't been able to keep my unit fully rented because I've been dealing with a contractor and trying to fix a bunch of water damage that happened to my unit. So because of that, the rental income has been a lot lower than normal. Something good to know for any of you considering buying a condo unit: if you have engineered bamboo hardwood floors and a little bit of it gets damaged in some way, they have to replace the entire floor. Because what these flooring companies do is they only print that specific color for 1 year, and then if it gets damaged after that year has passed, it's basically impossible to match the old floor to the new floor, so you just have to end up replacing the entire thing. Anyway, during this time, because of the vacancy I've been facing, all I brought in rental income was $298.75. My next source of income is my 401k. Now, I invest in my 401k every single month, and my company matches 6% of my investment. All of that money I keep in a long-term fund that basically just matches the general performance of the stock market, so it's one of my more conservative investments. This is the general advice that I gave in my video when I was talking about how to begin investing, which I'll link to right here. And it's also just a good way to diversify by giving you holdings all across the entire stock market, so you're not overly impacted by just a single sector. Luckily, I had a pretty good month in July, and my 401k was up $2,516.96. Note that this is far from consistent because even though I made money this month, last month I actually lost some money. Now, the next source of my passive income is also invested in stocks, and that's through my Roth IRA. Now, a Roth IRA is special in that it's a type of account where I pay all the taxes on my income up front, and then I can take that money and invest it in the stock market, and any gains I get off of that will be tax-free forever. This makes it a really good account in which to make a little bit riskier investments because you don't have to worry about the tax consequences of doing those investments. In this account, I mainly invest in individual stocks, which I pick based on their value as well as their growth potential. This month was absolutely ridiculous for my Roth IRA. Now, if you've seen my previous videos, you'll know that my Roth IRA was already up a lot just for this year. But in July specifically, I had a really good month, with my Roth IRA up $10,170.10 in just the 1 month. Even though this account has gone up consistently over the past year, as well as the several years before that, I know that this income isn't exactly passive or reliable. The fact is, anytime you're investing in individual stocks, you're making a fairly risky investment, and there's always the chance that you're going to face some downside in the future. Even as I'm filming this video, my Roth IRA's value has actually dropped by almost the same amount that it went up last month, which means if I were to make this same video next month, it might be titled How I Made Negative $10,000 in Passive Income in a Month. But even so, I'm extremely happy with this account's returns. My next source of income this month has been through my brokerage account. I have a taxable brokerage account which I keep, which basically mirrors what I do in my Roth IRA, with the only difference being that it's not tax advantaged. In this account, I also invest in individual stocks, but I usually make a bit fewer moves in this account just because there are tax consequences for buying and selling out of stocks. In a brokerage account where you're paying taxes, making too many aggressive moves can really build up a pretty big tax bill pretty quickly. This account was up $4,318.19 this month. But again, this is not fully reliable income. My next source of income is also my last source of income that comes from stocks, and that's through equity in the company that I work for. Now, I don't consider this to be part of my actual paycheck because all I'm accounting for here is the growth in value, not the amount that they gave me up front. This came to $800.80 this month. My final source of income is through the equity that I gained from having a mortgage on my apartment. Now, whenever you take out a mortgage on a piece of real estate, there are 2 parts of that mortgage: the interest and the principal. Now, a certain amount of my money goes to paying off interest every month, and then the rest of that goes down to paying down the balance of the loan I have against the property. The more I pay that down, the more equity I have in the property, which means the more value I get back if I were to sell this property in the future. I haven't been paying down this loan for all that long, and the longer I pay down on the loan, the greater a percentage goes to principal, but for now I'm getting $390 a month in equity. Now, if you've been keeping track, that adds up to $18,502.80. But remember, that's just income. I also have to factor in expenses. If you saw my video on how much it costs me to be a homeowner in downtown Chicago, you'll know that there are expenses associated with the rental income that I bring in. Now, normally my rental income is a lot higher, but this month, because I have so much vacancy in my apartment, I'm actually losing money on my unit overall. If you assume that I would have spent $1,200 on housing in Chicago if I didn't own my unit, the additional cost comes out to $1,980. This then drops my total income to $16,522.80 for the month. Now, that's still a lot of income, but at this point, that's where we need to start looking into stability and risk. See, almost all of the passive income that I brought in this month was due to appreciation in my stock portfolio. The truth is, my investments are risky. On a daily basis, they go up and they go down, and it's hard to predict what they're going to do at any given time. While these investments could go up 18% in a month, they could also go down 18% in a month. Only over a long time horizon, say around 10 years, would I truly consider this income to be passive and reliable. That being said, it's still been super exciting to see my stocks go up so much in 1 month, and to see the fact that my investments actually generated more income than I would have earned working a normal job. I think truly the only way to become wealthy is to eventually get to the point where you don't have to be paid for your time, and instead your investments can go out and earn money for you. This month has only confirmed that even further for me. So at this point, you might be saying to yourself, okay, it's all well and good then that your net worth went up by a certain amount in a given month, but how do you make that actually passive and recurring and stable as an income? Even if your stock portfolio was $1 million, how do you make sure that you can get some kind of reliable income out of that and not just have these huge swings in value every single month? Well, there's a couple good ways you could do that. Probably what I would consider the best way to get passive income would be to invest in stocks that pay a dividend. These stocks could pay you anywhere from 2 to 5%, and that amount is recurring every single year. The nice thing about dividend stocks is, in addition to getting the dividend paid to you on a recurring basis, the value of the stock can also go up, so you're also exposed to potential upside in the market. This helps you both get a stable income while also not missing out on the net worth gains that are possible from investing in the stock market. The next investment vehicle you could make use of to try to get some passive income would be an annuity. Now, an annuity is kind of like a dividend-paying stock, except you don't get any of the upside of being invested in the stock market. Based on the amount you invest in an annuity, it'll pay you out a set amount on a yearly basis. The problem is, they usually only pay you around 4%, which is a lot lower than you would get in the stock market. And if you try to take your money out at any point, they hit you with all these fees and different charges to try to keep you from actually pulling your money out. Interestingly enough, annuities used to be pushed a lot more heavily onto consumers, until regulations a couple years ago made it so that in order for stockbrokers to sell you an investment vehicle, they had to be acting as a fiduciary, meaning they had to have your best interests in mind. Once brokers had to have their customers' best interests in mind while selling investment vehicles, sales and annuities suddenly dropped 26% over the next couple years. Now, there may be a time and place where annuities are actually a good idea, but up until now, I've never seen one. The final strategy, which I will probably use for making passive income, is to invest in rental property and then to hire a property manager to manage that property for you. See, a lot of work actually goes into managing a rental property, and so if you do manage a rental property yourself, I wouldn't really consider that income passive, because you're basically working a job for the income. If, however, you hire a property manager, your effort just drops to the upfront difficulties in actually finding the house and maybe fixing it up. But once you actually get it rented, there's no more effort on your part, and it is truly passive income. This is a really good strategy if you want to generate consistent passive income over a long time period, and it's what several high-profile YouTubers who are really focused on real estate do, probably the most famous of which is Graham Stephan. So how then does this all tie in with my passive income? Well, the truth is, my income really isn't all that passive because I wouldn't consider it to be reliable. As I get older, I will probably change my strategy somewhat to move my investments into vehicles which will produce a consistent, reliable income for me. However, in order to do that, I have to sacrifice on the potential growth of these investments. While I'm still young and at my current age, it makes more sense for me to make a strategy which focuses on growing my investments as much as possible and less on stability. This is because at this point, I don't really have high expenses, I don't have anybody who relies on me, and I can just live off the income that my job produces. The final point which I want to note here is that I didn't really distinguish between retirement accounts and non-retirement accounts while talking through all this. The truth is, if I actually wanted to live on the passive income I was generating, it would be important for me to consider the fact that if my retirement account was generating passive income, I wouldn't actually be allowed to use that money without facing fees and penalties until I was 55 years old. This is part of the reason why I'm building some of my assets outside of my retirement account in a brokerage fund, so that I can actually have the ability to retire before that age if I get to that point. Again, this will become a lot more important as I get older and get closer to being financially independent, but at this point, I think my mix is actually okay. With that said, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any other kinds of investments which you would recommend for generating passive income, leave them in the comments. I read all of them. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, and if you want to see more videos like this in the future, make sure to subscribe. I'll see you next time.